Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I'm on chess.com and I just got done working through several tactics. Of them, I've selected 3 and they're all endgame related. So feel free to treat this video as if it's a little bit of a pop quiz. For each of these 3, I'll give you a little bit to pause the video, see if you can work it out, and I'm just going to dive right in and share what the solution is and some of my thoughts that I had along the way when trying to solve. So for this first one, again, go ahead, pause the video, see if you can find the best continuation for white. Okay, the solution to this one is what you might expect for move 1 at least, but there are multiple variations to consider, at least 2. The first key move here is to just immediately approach the pawn. I must admit that one of the things I thought of was to go here, so that on king takes pawn we go here and we have a little bit of an opposition type thing going on. However, this isn't quite cutting it, because black can play h5, and then, well, now we're 2 pawns down, we got to get one of them back. King takes pawn, king g3, and this pawn will soon promote. So it's important that we immediately approach the pawn and put pressure on him, knowing that on king takes pawn we just take here, and the king doesn't have this resource. He can't make use of g3 and safely advance the pawn next because the timing just is not there. We're tracking down the h-pawn. The variation to consider is that on king here, suppose king g6. This is an important moment. What are we doing here? There's a couple moves. One is to maybe play king e5, the other is to play h5. h5 isn't going to work. On h5, king takes pawn, we would capture this pawn. However, black doesn't have to capture the pawn. If we're playing here king f6, now we're forced back, and we're soon to be down a second pawn. Something like this might come about, and, well, both black pawns survive. So, in this position, after king f4, king g6, the move would not be h5, but rather king e5. And now, after h5, which is really the only move for black at this point, if we're going back here, we're just repeating. So the last key moment, last thing to really work out is what exactly to do should black play h5. What is the key king move in this position? The key move here is king to d4. It's very important at this point to anticipate that when we move our king, black will be able to make use of f6 next with their king. Well, the only way we can stop black from getting to f6 on their next move is if we play king to e6, but in that case this pawn just takes off. So we're going to have to give up control of f6, and we basically want to be in a position to stop the king from playing to one of these 2 squares next, e6 and e5, and the only way to really do that is to play first king d4 so that we can meet king f6 with king d5. This is very important. And this is really the key idea in this very simplified endgame, that after this h5 move, we have to go to first d4, king f6, and then king d5. How is it different if we make use of d5 right now? King d5, king f6, now what? King here, the pawn takes off. King here, now the king is starting to sneak over, and soon black will continually be able to advance the pawn successfully, even track down the h-pawn. If I'm to just put out some more moves here just to show, something like this might come about, and soon we're seeing that another pawn is scooped up, and black will go on to win. So this is really the key move. It's a few moves down the road here. After king f4, king g6, king e5, and h5, it's important to see this next key move, and it is king to d4. King f6, king d5. What does black do? If he goes back here, we go back here. And we're winning this pawn next. If this pawn starts to run, well, we can hunt him down, and this will be a draw. Okay, so let's move on to puzzle 2, where there's a little bit more involved. Some more pieces besides kings and pawns. This one right here, where it's white to move. So again, if you'd like to, go ahead, pause the video, see if you can find the best continuation for white. Okay, the big thing I noticed with this one when trying to work it out is that it is incredibly important you get the move order correct. This is a classic case of A, B, or B, A. You have two different moves in mind. Which one should be played first? Move order most certainly matters. One of the ideas white has is to checkmate the black king, and this is one of the first things that captured my attention, and it was the black king not having so many options available. He's currently in stalemate. The black king has no legal moves, and we have ideas of king f4 controlling this square, and then rook takes pawn, king takes pawn, rook h1 checkmate. There's a problem with this, however. If we play king f4 on our first move, so the idea here, we're looking at the moves king f4, and then the next move of rook captures pawn, with then the final shot, rook h1. But the question is, which of these moves should be played first? You kind of have to work out the differences between the two. If you're playing king f4 first, notice black has bishop takes pawn. Also notice that we're down a minor piece as white. This plays a role. If we're playing king f4 first, notice bishop takes pawn is available. Now there is no rook takes pawn, king takes pawn, rook h1, because there's a second option for black. King f4, bishop takes pawn. Let me just put it on the board. King f4, bishop takes pawn. Rook takes here. There's bishop takes. King takes rook. We would have checkmate. And, I mean, there's even this option here, but we're not getting at, this isn't enough. This isn't the best that we can do. We're getting a bishop, but we can do better. The trick here is to switch the order. To force the king to the h5 square right now. The key move here, the winning move, is rook h5. In fact, this is a checkmate in 3. Black has to take, and only at this point, king f4. Move order matters. Rook takes pawn or king f4 on first move. It's rook takes pawn first, and I don't care what black does on the next move. Rook h1 is mate next. Tricky. Again, this was my first thought. Maybe many of you can relate. I was looking at king f4 first, but you have to realize the defensive resource that black has to invest that material back on g6, and we won't be mating if we go with this move first. Okay, let's have a look at just one last one, where we have a rook each. Okay, if you'd like to, go ahead, pause the video, see if you can find the best continuation for white. Okay, I must admit, this is one that I didn't get. I was maybe a little bit too lazy, or I don't know, maybe just the idea. I don't know, I just didn't, I didn't get it for whatever the reason. I didn't spend a whole lot of time trying to work it out, but yeah, in the end, I got this. I did not get this one. I got it incorrect. So the winning continuation is to first play rook to b7. The thing that I was trying to work out is, well, how can I? This is what I would like to have happen. Rook b7, king c8. Then we go here with check, and then finally we can push with check. And then give check, and then give check, and then promote. The problem with that is that on rook b7, the king doesn't have to go to c8. If he's going here, we get to do this, and then this next. And we'll soon be pushing through with our pawns. We won't need our king's help. The thing to sort out is what to do after king a8. It's the only other thing to work out. Well, only at this point, only after we have forced the king on the a file, can we actually go ahead and just snip that h-pawn. So what's the trick here? This pawn is going to drop. Rook takes a. What are we doing here? Well, we're giving the pawn back. Rook a7 with the fork. The rooks are traded, and guess who's stopping the h-pawn? No one. White goes on to win. This pawn cannot be stopped. For whatever the reason, this little idea of a follow-up fork along the a file eluded me. I didn't get this one. But a nice little move sequence to be familiar with. 2 pawns on the 6th rank. Possibilities for a rook move. I mean, you could do this right away, and you're threatening a mate in 1, but after rook takes a here, there isn't a way to force the rook exchange. So it's actually a very clean solution here. I like this one. Rook b7 first. Get him on the same file as the rook. Some tactical ideas when multiple pieces are on the same file, rank, or diagonal. Rook takes pawn, and only after the king is on that a8 square do we have this little trick. And off the h-pawn goes, and he will not be stopped. Okay, well, I think it was a nice little group of 3 endgame puzzles. Feel free to leave any feedback. Let me know how you did in the comments section below. And as usual, I hope you got something out of it. That's all for now. Take care. Bye.